This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. Now, here's your host, Kevin Pruitt.
This is indeed the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, and I have a great guest with me today. His name, I'm going to tell you in a minute, but he's the co-founder and CEO of Story, an AI-powered brand automation platform for businesses and professionals, where the entire cycle from concept inception to scheduling is created for company and personal brands. He's a self-described idea chaser on LinkedIn. Please join me in welcoming, and forgive me for this pronunciation, Sandro Okropiridze to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast. Sandro, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
We're looking forward to it. And so where are you sitting right now, Sandro?
Here I'm at our office in Tbilisi, Georgia.
I told him before
On
we
Monday,
started.
I'm going to New York.
Yeah, I know. And on LinkedIn, it shows San Francisco. So, and I know there's a Polish connection in there as well, a connection in Poland. So he is truly an international startup founder. But tell us a little bit. That's a very short bio for a life that you've lived so far. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, since I was teenager, I was pursuing some ideas, started multiple small businesses. Back then, I had no idea what startup was. It was just business. And so I learned different traits during that period. Then became more active in business. And some time ago, I figured out that startup is the right thing to do. And this story wasn't a plan, something let's do a startup or something like that. It was also a small business. Then COVID, everything, and it morphed into a startup. I learned more about startups, and here we are.
So it's interesting that just the name Story AI with an I. So tell us a little bit about, how the idea came about, how it kind of grew into this, it moved from an idea or a product to a company.
Yeah, sure. The story with I is because, because of story and because of store, this is probably one of the most demanded domain names in the world. So it was really hard to find something that describes storytelling. So we started this as a first. It started no-code website development platform. So we wanted to create websites without any upfront fee, just on subscription. And we started working on it. Customers were paying, but we had delays because they couldn't provide branded content. And we were thinking that maybe just we can create some kind of interactive tool to help them send it. And then we realized that even quite large companies don't have branded content, and they just simply don't have it. And we created a tool that would help you to create your brand identity, both visual and guidelines, everything. A very basic one, and then it morphed to Story. We want to help everyone to do their storytelling, be consistent with branding. And it was first for website, then we figured out that people need it more for social media. Frequency of problem here is higher. And that's how Story was formed back in 2022. Yeah.
Was there a little bit on the no-code website space? I'm thinking of Wix and GoDaddy and places like that. I mean, it sounds like to me that you were kind of trying to take on some giants, in that space, and maybe this is a little more or a little less developed, space. So, have you moved away from that? The website?
Yeah. That company still exists. That was targeted to Georgia, so it wasn't thought as a global competitor to Wix or something like that.
So, but you moved on to Story AI. So talk us through like the inception. When did it launch? What are some early learnings that you've kind of realized in this early stages?
Yeah, so we started Story already the concept of like creating more like focused on social media back in 2022. First, we incorporated in September 2022, so it was before ChatGPT hype. And last year, in August, we launched on Product Hunt. It was our like beta launch. We got product of the day and then a product of the week, like number one spot. And then at the end of the year, we got Golden Kitty. We were runner-up in Golden Kitty Awards.
Yeah, it's amazing.
For best marketing and sales product for 2023. Yeah, then we launched paid plans, expanded, raised the pre-seed round, platform developed like completely, like expanded, our team expanded, our geographies expanded, everything expanded.
Yeah. I saw I was watching another video that you had done that you were talking. I'm guessing it was last year that you had done that and kind of walked through like the projected timeline, user base, that type of thing. How has reality compared to what your projections were?
We have to always, it's like a common practice. You always need to, in this sport, let's call it startup in this game, you need to always provide optimistic projections.
Yeah.
But anyway, even if you do not hit those projections, at least it makes you to align to that. So you create models, business model, or strategies that aligns to that grand vision. And even if you don't hit that target, still it makes you think different. We got lots of free users, early adopters, beta testers, and the transition to paid customers was more challenging because that's when real feedback started to pour in. So even if it's like $10 or something like that, when somebody pays, that's when you start getting feedback. So I would, what I learned is like it's better to implement paid plans early on. So otherwise you are getting like a wrong feedback and just like encouragement and support for free, and it makes you like build the wrong product.
So from a business standpoint, from a process standpoint, it's easy to have feedback that says, "Hey, I would like to see this feature or this feature or this feature." How are you as a company determining, what, like, okay, 70% of feedback has to say they want this feature before we'll incorporate it into the product, or are you more like, nope, we're MVP right now. We're not going to add any features. We're just going to refine the product we have. So how do you, I want to get inside kind of your strategy sessions internally, how do you guys work through that?
That's an excellent question. I was actually thinking about that this morning. And so when listening to that, do you have that feature? We need that. We started building that, and the platform grew, and functionality grew, and then the hardest point is to put all these things together and make them work. So once you deliver some extra significant functionalities, and even if one doesn't work, then the whole product fails. And then you have to keep up and maintain and improve and fix bugs for all of these five. That being said, also it's really interesting the development that your customers do not tell you because they just don't see that. They won't tell you how it should be. Maybe they will tell you based on the existing version what needs to be fixed or what is not working. And I really find very useful these days, rather than doing interviews myself with customers. It might sound like something that it's unusual, but when you do like interviews yourself, it's person to person, and you get influenced by the emotion or something that comes from that specific person, and you think that yeah, I must do it. I see it's better when one of our team does that kind of interview, and I get like consolidated some idea that needs to be done, and it's delivered to you in a more in a way that doesn't influence your judgment.
Right.
And also, what I like to do is observe from analytical tools, like individually each user's behavior, and just understand what that user might have needed or made their day better, not like just like UX or some feature improvement.
I think, I love your approach of almost like it's anonymous feedback. It's not, you remove the emotion from it, you remove the relationship from it, but is part of the feedback loop. I mean, it seems like to me that there's almost two stages to this. So the first stage is somebody saying, hey, we want this feature added. But is the second question that you have to ask, why? What would that do for you if we added it versus I just like blue instead of green? It's just a personal preference. Is that part of the feedback loop process that you're trying to determine a use case for these additional features, like the why behind the ask?
Yeah. As I said, I don't. It doesn't change the thing because in that judgment, there is a strong why. Like for example, I was on that call, like very few that I've done, and they were requesting like you need to have analytics, like really comprehensive analytics reports, and it will be very useful for us, and we spend lots of time doing that. But it's like one. On the other hand, I have to consider how much resources will it take from the team and how long it will postpone something else. I know it is nice to have, it will be great to have, but it's a complex thing. So reasoning is always behind that, but you cannot in this scalable product life cycle, you cannot cater individual needs unless it's like this individual is like a epiphany. Wow, that must be general thing, and how I did not notice that. But maybe from the outside it looks like you look at the product. I don't mean only our product, but any product, and you might think, how couldn't they do this simple thing or fix this, or why didn't? But believe me, internally, like team has knowledge like of all details. We can discuss product like professional chess players can play without a board, like just talk, and it's in everybody's head, and we're trying to make it as better as possible.
It would be interesting to really sit in on kind of those product meetings, about this, to hear, because every department too of your company has a different need. They have their different perspectives and their different, biases that they bring to the table. But what would you say would be like some early assumptions that you made when you first launched Story that have actually proven not to be true, if any? Maybe you guys were just great prognosticators.
In the beginning, we were thinking that we could predict what you want as a user, and fully automatically deliver everything to you with little or no interaction from your side and from user side. And it proved to be wrong, and users want to tailor many things to themselves, and sometimes do some interaction, and it's good to like in a whole cycle give you everything automatically, but it's better when you get a consent from a customer, not like just your judgment that that person might need that on based on their input or something. But so it's now more interactive with the customer, and we are even improving that part.
Now, when you say interactive, is it interactive between the company and the individual, or is it interactive between the individual and the tool itself? Because those are two different ways, I think.
Yeah, basically both. There is collaboration. You can work with multiple people on multiple brands. There is more interaction with the tool, and both of them, yes. Like we give them more options to like a set it up for you for your specific needs, for your specific fit, and then use it as more like an automated tool. But yeah.
So one of the things that it's interesting to me with just AI in general, like if you're using it to generate content, how do I get it to speak in my voice? How do I get it to generate content using my brand voice or my, communicative voice type thing? It seems like to me that you kind of briefly touched on this on another like interview that I was listening to or watching about that you're kind of working on that with story.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I wouldn't call us like content generation platform. Content generation is like commoditized, and there are so many tools that generate content or even schedule publish. It's a no big deal. And what we focus on, you cannot do anything on story until your brand essence, brand DNA is formed, and that's when AI comes handy, because this brand DNA. When I say brand, I do not mean only like color palettes or something like
logo,
what you are about.
Yeah.
Whole thing. What's your vision? What's your tone of voice? Everything. And once then content is created, all this data is taken into account, analyzed, and made sure that it aligns to that. So when you start on story, you start with forming that brand identity with the help of AI. So, and the a good part is that like AI can process that data. Like for human, you need to read a big PDF file, remember what's that all about, and it's really complex. But basically, it's a data. Your brand identity it's a data, like a DNA is a data, right? And it's easier, I think, for a machine to take all that data into account, rather than like finding some freelancer and just giving a task, generate content or create that content for me, or use some AI tool like that would like generate some text for you.
I love the way that you clarified that, especially related to stories, like use case with story. But I've got a question for you. So I have heard other people describe brand, brand identity, brand of a company, the brand story of a company in two ways. One is the way you described it, that says it's the vision, it's the DNA, it's everything that makes up kind of the identity of a company or individual. I've also heard people describe it as how your customers perceive you, or how the outside world perceives you. Those could be two very different things. So is there anything built into the process where you're asking your customers, what is my brand?
So, I was planning to like interrupt you. No, I don't think so. About the first part, that you are completely right, and I agree to that part. It's not what you think it is. It's what it is in customer's mind. But as a starting point, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
And like a manager or founder or CEO has like a at any starting point has some kind of idea how that brand is perceived in customers' mind, and then it can be adjusted. We have all those like regenerate or edit, everything like that. But in future, we want to feed that data and automatically update or give you suggestions that this looks like is resonating more with your audience. It looks like your vision is taking this direction. Your mission is maybe can be adjusted, or customer personas or anything like that. But I agree on that it's not what you think or what you want to be. It's what your customer sees you and like identifies you.
Do you see a future with Story that kind of brand voice or identity is going to be updated with Google reviews, with comments made on social media, with other feedback? That, I mean, you kind of alluded to the fact that it is an iterative, it does update itself type thing. I mean, what all goes into that feedback? Where are the feedback sources that is causing that updating to happen?
In future, maybe we can analyze that data, but it will be really hard to do it. And also, based on one or two comments or something like that, I don't think it's a good idea to change your brand identity. Yeah. And
maybe trends, identifying trends or something.
No, maybe not even that. I think it should be a combination of the team who's behind this brand, who create, and customer perception, or not like really a feedback, because there always will be one happy customer, another unhappy, and
That's
just
true.
Directly applying it to that brand identity so it should be at a wider scale and like a listening, and that's why I say it's not like a thumbs up, thumbs down, and just like a voting now change it.
Yeah, my brand is changing every week because I'm either making somebody happy or sad. That's right. I love it. What are some other early obstacles that you've had to overcome and that you maybe were not anticipated, when you launched Story?
I think one of the biggest obstacles is to set up a business side of team, because we were lucky. We have great CTO, and we managed to like set up processes for software and engineering, and it's working as a system. But business side appears to be more complex. Marketing, business development, everything to work as a system, and then to put these two into like synchronize them and put them into a harmony, because we cannot like as company grows, you cannot just like open the door and I need that function, or remove that feature, or whatever, that will be cool. And plus maintain this high rate of being able to like iterate as fast and as possible, while not like making a mess. And so somehow to coordinate these two parts. It sounded like two like business part, but that's what I was thinking. Also, there are some emotional parts that like team is tired, burned out, and you have to coordinate that, help them. And the best thing is like our team doesn't need any motivation. My goal is like to tell guys, go home and get the rest or something. No, we form the team that doesn't need any kind of somebody standing and monitoring and controlling them.
No micromanaging.
Yeah, micromanaging is maybe like while person is new and growing and they seek this kind of micromanaging. Yeah, it can be done, but we give them responsibility even if you make a mistake. So we have this motto on the board over there, like go find something to fix. So we don't like we look for people who are keen to like be proactive in terms of going and looking for something to fix themselves, not like receiving micro tasks in Jira or something. But we do that kind of system-like approach in software as well.
I really love that. I number one, I just really love your transparency in the way that you're explaining, how you kind of work through processes, how you're currently, working through like the feedback loop and operations, that type of thing. But I'm curious, it's an interesting path that you chose, and I think you actually chose it before and you're just doing it again, maybe with Story. But why Georgia to Poland to maybe the US or the world? Why that particular trajectory?
No, when we started my last company, that company that it was shortwave infrared outdoor heaters manufacturing, and I was like designing, marketing, doing everything basically except of assembly. We set up a small production facility here. And Georgia is not an industrial country. We're exporting, shipping products to Europe, even to the US, and so switch to Poland was it's like EU one no borders, nothing. It was easy to also, and it is more industrial country, and you couldn't set a system. And one thing is to create one prototype, and it's a completely different story when you need to set up a serial production. Yeah. It was super complicated, and building supply chain, like it's like unbelievable, really, really hard. I thought that Poland was better fit because it's more like an industrialized country and more like engineering culture. But without like capital resources, it was really hard. That when you are doing it on a small scale and you want to create it in a serial production and stable supply chain.
And but I mean, Story is a global approach right now. There's no, I mean, it's boardless. It's fully online, automated. It's not a manufacturing type situation. Yeah. So you don't have to have that same trajectory. But obviously our podcast is geared very heavily toward the marketing space and marketing agencies, owners, founders, managers of marketing agencies. So what is a great use case? Think in terms of, if I'm a marketing agency owner, what is the integrated use case for Story, that I can use with my clients, that I can, help them out with? What's that overlap there?
Right now we need to fix a few things to make it interesting to marketing agencies. But the concept that we have, and that is like switching among brands and the whole workspace, whole assets, content, collaborators, everything changes. And for a marketing agency, in that case, it is interesting that you could like easily shuffle these brands. And when you have a portfolio of clients that you serve, on each brand, invite that client and have them in a live view or like online, see the process and interact and ask for iterations or get their input while you are producing, not like deliver a finished product and then get feedback. So it reduces your resources, your cost of production, because if your client is not agreeing on something or has a comment or wants something different, they can do that at a very early stage, and they can see the whole cycle.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
this
it reduces the
multi-brand,
time commitment too, for
yeah,
sure. I mean,
and another good point that I see among agencies is maybe it's like different in different locations, but usually it works like when onboarding a new client. They would take time like to ideate at least like 2 weeks and then deliver brand identity. But at that stage, it's not even clear whether you will onboard this client or not. And but the resources of an agency are spent on creating this brand identity. So with us, you could generate that brand essence in seconds. I don't say that it will be equal in quality as it will be with the agencies, but at least you can get some deliverable and get basic idea and start things rolling. So in that sense, I think it might also interest agencies. But
yeah. It's like a similar use case to Chat GPT. I mean, it can produce the content. It's not perfect, but you're so much further down the road, based on that start, than you were if you were starting from zero. So yeah, I think that certainly has a broad application in this space, and it's going to be interesting to see as you move along, as you iterate, as the product grows and morphs, over time based on the feedback loop and your engineer meetings you have, deciding who wins. But I want to shift right now. This is our rapid fire session right near the end of our podcast here, and these are just kind of disparate questions that you're thinking, why is he asking these questions? But we have a plan. There's a strategy behind the asking these questions to kind of tie this together. We really want to get inside the head and heart of our guests here. But I'm just going to ask you, just answer them very quickly. First thing that comes to mind. Okay. Did you get along with your parents growing up?
Not much.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister.
Do you have a pet or pets?
No.
Any children?
Not yet.
What time do you wake up in the morning on a work day?
Depends when the last day ended, but I usually like to get good sleep or normal sleep at least.
And that's the next question: is what time do you normally go to bed in the evening?
I try to do it like 11:30 to 12:30 or 1 a.m., something like that.
Ideal vacation spot. Money not an object.
I've never been to Italy, and I really want to go to Italy.
That's not yeah. You take a flight, be there in a couple hours from Tbilisi.
Yeah.
Tell me how faith intersects your work life.
Faith? You don't mean religion, right? Or
you define that. We just asked the questions.
Okay.
This is your answer.
I think if you call faith optimism. I used to disregard optimism as a key factor in human motivation or consistency and persistence, but optimism is a great thing. And when I look countries like Georgia or like less rich, less developed countries, even highly developed countries in Europe especially, you don't see that kind of optimism, and that kind of by optimism I mean that by default you think that things will be better, more, something like that. It's one of the key factors. It's even more important in my opinion than just like access to capital or investment.
If you were king for the day, what is one thing you would change about the marketing space globally?
I would I would make it accessible to everyone, open the doors to marketing. It's not only that big guys could hire expensive creatives and be like outshine small ones. Everybody has a right to have a voice.
I think the term is like democratize marketing. You know,
Yeah,
you want to bring it
marketing
to
for people.
That's right, marketing for the commoner. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Sandro, thank you so much for just taking time today. I've really enjoyed our chat and just to really kind of hear the story of, and just actually see inside your head some of the thought processes that you go through, on a daily basis to build this company. And it is an exciting story. We're looking forward to seeing where it's going to head from here. But I really appreciate that. Just taking your time to share your expertise, to add to the voices that are speaking into this and to help marketing agencies grow and scale their businesses. Sandro, thank you again. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you for tuning in to another great episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. To learn more, go to umbrellaus.com.